to show that you're undone, throwing rocks and hiding you, thinking and hoping no one sees you. Never cared from the beginning, hurting harm you think is winning. Your slip is showing while you grin. Got to be more careful, friend. You are justifying your sin, justifying your sin. Faking and fooling, joking and playing. Can't trust the word you're saying. Feeling no connection when you pray. Crazy lies and alibis keep haunting you. How can you be so blind? You need to change your mind. The handwriting's on the wall. It's just a matter of time. Yes, it's just a matter of time. Oh, you've got to be, yeah. Watch what you do, because it comes back to you, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. What's past is past. Here's your second chance to build a legacy. Leave fantasy, resolve your reality, because everybody sees you and you become obscene. But you can be redeemed if you believe. If you believe, yeah. I've got to be more careful, yeah. Life is too short and time is far spent. And time we don't have the luxury of. Once it's past, it's gone. It's been so long you've been on this road. Such content you show when jealousy and envy is all you know. You gotta be more careful, yeah. I just came to tell you, got to be more careful. Oh, you. Hey, yeah. Life is too short and time is far spent. And time we don't have the luxury of. Once it's past, it's gone, yeah. You got to be, yes. Gotta be more careful. Hey. to be more careful. You don't get away in life when you cause trouble and strife. Yeah, got to be. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Ray Ellen. Welcome. I hope all is well. The title says, I have a praise report. Well, the enemy tried to tip the scales this evening to try to get a reaction, to try to get a feeling, to try to get retaliation. Unfortunately, in the midst of it, I got it was like a wind of peace and joy that came upon me. And I heard a word in my ear, and I don't know who this is going to help, but I'm going to share this immediately because it helped me. In the first book of the Bible, in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, it says, but as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Let me read that again. But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. What you meant for to disrupt my peace, God meant it for my good. And in the midst of it, there's some things that I've been seeking God for and putting before him. And in the midst of it, I got my answer. Sometimes what people don't realize when they do things to try to disturb your peace is that they're giving you the answer that God intends for you to get. And if we don't recognize what God is saying, we miss the whole blessing. And so, this is just to serve notice that there is no weapon that you can form against me that's going to prosper. There is nothing that you can say that God is going to let penetrate. I may feel a little uncomfortable or a little annoyed. However, I serve a God that is real and that is alive. And so often people needed to be proven to them that God is real. Now, there's certain people that have had experiences and they still don't believe. And so, at this point, I am not moved. I am not bothered. I am not insulted. I do not feel any kind of way. Keep running your mouth until your tongue is cleaved unto the roof of your mouth. Because sooner or later, you're going to have to answer to everything that you say and you do. And you have to be very careful who you put your mouth on. You need to be cognizant. You need to be cognizant because everybody that you put your mouth on is not no run-of-the-mill Joe Blow. And you've already had that experience. And so, let's see what the next couple of days bring in your life. Let's see what it brings in your life. I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit back and put my feet up and I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. Because what you meant for evil, God has already turned it for my good. Because I've been called for a purpose. Just because you don't have a calling or you can't do anything to bless anybody, don't be mad at me. Don't be upset. Because when I speak a word, I'm speaking the word of God, the word of truth. Don't be upset because you can't control. Don't be upset. You wanted attention. But the only attention that you are going to get is that I have a praise report. Because through God's love, another miracle has been performed. Another blessing has been bestowed upon Johnny Mac 365. And there's nothing you can do about it. So talk your talk. Talk your talk. Because in a few more days, your mouth is going to be completely closed. God has given you the opportunity to make it right, and you've been disobedient. You haven't heard his word. You've ignored everything God has told you. And so now you're going to have to deal with it. And I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to watch it. And I'm going to enjoy every minute of it. I'm going to enjoy every single second of it. To God be the glory. So let me encourage everybody in here that when folks think that they are doing something to hurt you, God will come through and turn that thing into good. A door will open for you. A window will open for you where the blessings will pour in. He'll turn it for your good because you've been called for a purpose. And you are doing your purpose. You're doing what God called you to do. You're enlightening people. You're blessing people. You're teaching people. You're sharing with people. And it's something that I heard in Ray Ellen's video today about Arizona. They don't like smart black people. Well, the same thing with some of our people. Sad to say, they don't like blessed people. They don't like people who are intelligent. They don't like people who decide that they're going to follow what God say and not what folks say. They get upset when you are no longer part of the clique. And every chance they get, when they either they think you're not listening or they're trying to impress someone, they do something stupid. But again, God is in full control. So I just wanted to come back on here and just say, God, I thank you. I thank you for my answer. I thank you for my promises that you, because you are a promise keeper and you keep bringing it to pass. Not because I'm so great, but because you love me and because I'm obedient to what you say do. Because I don't try to reap where I have not sown. I'm not trying to destroy anybody. I'm not trying to take anybody down. I'm not trying to diminish anybody's self-esteem. And so, again, you who live that kind of life, because I know you're probably in here in the bushes. And I'm glad, because once you hear the word, you are responsible from that point on, and God will hold you responsible for hearing the word and not doing it. So I'm giving God glory and honor because he is real and he loves me enough to send me a word and to tell me, don't worry about it. I got this. I got this. And so, hey, Eddie Peeler, Mysterious Mermaid, good morning. Don't let your circumstances or situations or dealings with other people fool you into believing that God is not on your side. For God is on your side. He will give you the strength and the courage to do what you need to do at the very moment that you need to do it. And oftentimes he'll send a word when and where you least expect it and encourage you and let you know that I am with you always, even until the end of the earth. I said it earlier today. When the devil comes in like a flood, God himself will lift up a standard. He'll lift up a standard. He will come down and fight for you himself. So I'm invoking God to fight the battle for me. Now watch what God does. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. Sometimes it seems like it's taking forever, but don't worry about it. When you put it in God's hands, leave it there and watch him work. See, the arm of the law, they say, is long. The arm of the law is long. It may not get you when you do the crime, but it's going to get you. And sometimes it seems that in certain situations, our timing is not God's time. And there's times when God decides when he's going to do what he's going to do, or when he's going to allow it to be manifested. But at any rate, remember that it is for your good. It's for your good because God has called you to do a specific work. And when you're doing your work, the devil in hell cannot use anybody to deter you from what God has for you to do. And when you obey God, and I say this at the end of my life, when you obey God, God is pleased. And when God is pleased, he'll make you satisfied. He'll make your enemies your footstool. When the wicked, your enemies and your foes come upon you to eat up your flesh, they will stumble and fall. They will stumble and fall because their weapons and their intentions won't come nigh your dwelling. They won't come nigh your dwelling. They will not touch you. And I'm grateful. I am so grateful. I am so grateful that God in this day and time is still speaking when it seems like everything else has ceased. When it seems difficult even to hear the voice of God, he still comes in and lets you know, oh, I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm omnipresent. I'm everywhere at the same time. I'm all powerful. I can reach into that situation and turn it around. And that's what he's done. He's turned the situation completely around for my good. And pay close attention. He not only turned it around, but he turned it. And that's what that verse says. That latter clause of that verse says, but God meant it unto good to bring to pass as it is this day to save much people alive. And you have to be careful when you touch God's people. When people love God, you have to be careful how you treat them. And I keep hearing in my ear, these people know better. They know better. There are no excuses. They know better. Most of these people have a foundation. They have a foundation of being taught the principles of God, the principles of being trustworthy, the principles of being true, honest, and integrous. However, sometimes when we're taught those principles, we leave them. We leave them. And some of us go too far, stay too long, and can't get back in time. And so, again, my praise report, I'm giving God praise because he spoke to me and he touched me in the midst of a situation. And now my heart is glad. But I'm going to sit and I'm going to relax and I'm going to watch God do the work. Just like he did it before, he'll do it again. I am so appreciative to everyone. And by the way, that particular song that you heard at the beginning of the live was inspired by Sean Bradley. There's a saying that he always says, and one day I was sitting down and I heard some things coming together, and I sat down and I put the song together. And you've got to be more careful. You got to be more careful. You've got to be more mindful. You've got to be cognizant. You've got to have an eye to see and an ear to hear. But the problem is, so many of these people that we come in contact with or that we observe have eyes and can't see, and ears and can't hear. They can't discern the difference. They can't see the difference. They can't recognize or comprehend that everybody is not the same. However, we're going to watch this thing turn around. So again, I'm encouraging everybody. Good morning, Patrice Cunningham. He's turning it around. He's turning it around. And it's going to be quite interesting how all this plays out when God gets through. You can let the devil run rampant if you want to. You can allow the devil to use you if you want to. But at the end of the day, God is still in control. And he has the very last word. So you have your word now because God has the last word. And when he speaks, nobody can contradict him. Your arms are too short to box with him. There is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do. There's no prayer that can be prayed for your deliverance. I love you too, Internet Granny. Oh, yes. It's coming to pass. It's coming to pass. So let me encourage you, when people start coming after you and start saying things about you and trying to do things to you, it is only an indication that God is moving, and he's moving in your favor. And everything that is happening, he's going to turn it around for your good. He's going to make good on it. He's not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should repent. In other words, he's not going to tell you a lie. He's not going to tell you something and take it back. He places his word above his name. Before one jot or tittle of his word passes away, heaven and earth shall fail. And so be encouraged. For the evil that men do, they mean it for evil, but God will turn it for your good because he loves you and because he has a purpose for your life. Because you are doing what God told you to do. Because you are blessing people. You are saving people. Sometimes we never really know the people that we are blessing and the people that we are touching, the lives that we are changing. But God keeps a record. And when you continue to do his bidding, when you continue to do what he has called you to do, there's a never ending blessing. The blessings are perpetuated. Even though storms come and thunder rolls, in the midst of it all, God is still blessing his people. He's still blessing his people. So I just wanted to encourage you with a praise report. And I'm praising God for his grace and his mercy and for his word. Because the moment that you need it the most, he comes right in and gives you a word that lets you know, I've got this under control. Don't you try to fight the battle, because the battle is already won. It's already won. I've already worked in your favor. I've already gone before you to set things up to turn in your favor. Somebody asked, can God? God can. God most certainly can. He says, I am that I am, which means he is everything, all in all. And people can get mad when God bless you, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't make no big difference, because when God blesses you, can't no man curse you. And this is what so many people need to understand. The flip side of that is when God curses you, can't no man bless you. And some of these people on here, when you recognize, when you observe, you see that it's not a generational curse. It's a curse because of sin. It's a curse because of their thought pattern. Most of them have cursed themselves. They have cursed themselves into poverty, into lack. They've become beggars. They've become secluded and alienated. But it's because of their thought pattern. because they get comfortable with thinking that what's opposite to God is better than what God has. Yes, they are sin sick. They are cursed because sin is a curse. And what sin is, in one definition I heard Ian Levan Sant say, that sin is self-inflicted nonsense. They are so wrapped up in this self-inflicted nonsense until they can't grasp the realness of God. And then on the flip side, I heard another definition of sin, which I really liked. And once I began to look into it, do a little bit of research, I found that that was very adequate to explain what sin is. Sin is to be without love. And when you observe some of these people, you observe that in their behaviors and in their thought patterns, they have no love whatsoever. And when you have no love, it is a sin to God, because God created everything and everyone in love. Everything that God created, every way that God has made, every miracle that God has performed has been performed in and through and with love. And so to be without love, we often say God is love. So to be without love is to be without God. And so this is why we can fight 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, because we have no love. We can do the same thing every single day, day in and day out. But here's the thing. With all that vitriol, with all that hate, with all that anger, your body cannot stand up under that anger and function properly for any long length of time. Sooner or later, your body is going to break down in such a way that it will be irreparable, because the hate is so deeply embedded in you. And the only way to get that love out is to connect with God and go in and root it out from the root. And this is why God, his whole message is about love. Love can love you out right out of your condition. Love is a healing balm. When you love, this is the reason why Jesus said, I'm not going to give you another commandment, but what I am going to do is I'm going to take all the commandments and I am going to put them into one. And that was love God, love yourself, and love your neighbor as yourself. And again, we come back to love. So in other words, every commandment, and there are many commandments, there are more than 10 commandments, but all of the commandments being practiced is about love. So when you love God, love yourself and your neighbor as yourself, then all the other commandments are kept. But the hearts of many, as the Bible say, in the last day will wax cold. They will wax cold. In other words, they will have no love, no compassion, no sympathy, no empathy. They rather tear down than build up. I said it earlier today in my live. There is a time and a season for everything under the heavens. And that scripture goes on to explain and express and example all the different times: a time to live, a time to die, a time to laugh, a time to moan, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which has been planted. So there's a time for you. There's a time and a season that has your name on it. But in order to walk in your season and to be in your time, you have to have love. You have to be in sync with God. You have to be in communion with God, because if you're not, you will miss the whole deal. Because love is the opposite of what God does and who God is. So if you don't have love, you cannot be connected with God. You cannot have a relationship with God without love. You know, I hear people talk about uh, Black Lives Matter, but Black lives can't matter until you love. When you love, then Black Lives Matter. Instead of looking for somebody else to do it, start right where you are with yourself. And change your own life. Popularity is good in its place, but popularity can never take the place of honest and authentic love, because love draws. Love doesn't propel or push away. Love draws. And love is not love until you give it away for free. But when you don't have love, you just say and do anything and feel that it's okay. But there is a day of reckoning that's coming. There's a day of reckoning that shall be manifested in public. And it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be lovely. It's going to be sad. But however, because I have that relationship and because we have love, guess what we're going to do during that time? We still going to be blessed. We still are going to be anointed. We still are going to be powerful. We still are going to be making a difference, because those that God has, God has set us up to reach individuals in our path as we go through life, that only we can touch, that only we can be a blessing to. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to look back and see the people, or remember the people that you have been a blessing to. Because what that says is that my living has not been in vain. And that was one of my favorite songs when I was coming up, because I don't want my living to be in vain. I don't want it to be in vain. So if I could help somebody along the way, I'm good with that. That gives me great joy to see someone that I've planted a seed in, and that seed take root and grow and produce fruit. That causes me to have a perpetual blessing. When I've introduced somebody to a relationship with God, that makes up a perpetual blessing, a blessing that keeps flowing, that doesn't stop, because God is pleased. What you do to the least ones of these, you've done it to me. So when you tear down people, and when you try to destroy people's influence and their affluence, and try to uh, deter them from what God has called them to do, when you've tried to stop somebody from making it to their greatness, you will reap exactly what you've sown. And your living becomes in vain, because that was not the intention that God had for your life. And so I'm not going. I didn't want to be on here long, but I'm on here 42 minutes so far. But I do pray that my praise report has been a blessing to someone, and has given them strength and encouragement and courage, and empowered them to stand and to go on a little bit further. But again, I remind you that whatever is going on in your life right now, whatever people are trying to do right now, God has promised you at 3:46 in the morning on May, what was that? On August 16th, 2021, he has already turned it around for your good, because of your diligence and stick to itiveness in blessing other people. So I bless you with love. I declare and decree unto you love, more love than you can imagine, more love than your heart can feel, and much more love than your hands can hold. Because when you love God, love yourself, and love your neighbor as yourself, you have pleased God. And when you please God, God will make you satisfied. Thank you all for coming in. And again, I bid you a good morning. And I declare and decree that this week will be the most prosperous, blessed, and successful week from here on out of your life. Thank you for coming in, and good morning.